most metals, people have a fairly good idea of what the sort of coming surplus or deficit is going to be the next few years. Can you just map out for us how you see uranium being? I mean, it's been a difficult one because there's obviously always been decommissioning of old military stocks and everything. But I mean, what's the panel's best guess as to demand and supply and any deficit which emerges in the next few years?
Yeah, okay. I think this one's down to me. I've been a bit involved in this stuff with World Nuclear Association. So it's a very clean supply and demand picture now. You referred to decommissioning of warheads, and that was a huge supply overhang for a number of years, including during the last uranium spike in 2007. Now that's done, that's out. There was also a lot of interference from secondary suppliers. They've now stabilised and are reducing into the long term. So that's a very supply price inelastic source that's now depleting quite quickly because of what I talked before about overfeeding. And then the other interference has been governments, the DOE in the US selling in its stockpiles, and that stopped about 3 years ago. And then finally, what's really suppressed prices and suppressed the evolution of this market has been inventory overhang. So Fukushima happened in 2011, punched an immediate 11% hole in demand for nuclear power. But because everything's done on long-term contracts, the market kept mining and kept supplying and kept filling in utilities with uranium and they only needed, at a global level, 90% of that. So there was a big build-up of inventory. And it's taken decisions by the majors, the three majors in this sector, to reduce their production in Canada and Kazakhstan to run that inventory down. And then in the last 18 months, we've seen the impact of physical buyers really suck out the last of that mobile inventory that has the potential to distort a market. So literally in the last few months, we can now say that we've got a supply and demand picture that's fairly predictable. So to numbers, today the world consumes in burn up of nuclear reactors about 180 million pounds in rough terms. It's producing about 135, or that's probably going to be down this year by another 5 million pounds, courtesy of Kazakh production being guided down. And then there's about 25 million pounds of secondary supply. And again, there's pressure on that because of Western enrichers wanting to optimise their enrichment. And so they'll probably provide less secondary supplies via underfeeding. So that paints quite a stark deficit picture today. And as we move forward, we will see a gradual decrease in that secondary supply. And even with the development of the shovel-ready projects over the next few years, including Bannerman's Tango project, we still see a significant widening of a deficit, particularly starting in 2028 and then out to 2040. So the scenarios for growth that I favour and that quite closely match World Nuclear Association's 2021 upper scenario see the demand for uranium doubling by 2040. So that's about a 2% year-on-year growth. Now, at the same time, whilst there are ample exploration projects around the world, governments and financiers are going to really need to get their skates on if we're going to have enough uranium projects developing over that period of time to actually infill that gap and meet that dramatically increasing demand. So on the numbers that I prefer to model, China itself by 2040 will consume that 130 million pounds. So in other words, all of the production that we manage to achieve globally in a year, by 2040, China alone will be consuming that. So it gives you a feel for the drivers and the necessary market signals that will be required as this 10 or so year bull market gets into better momentum. And from an investor, I think you can deduce from that an extremely attractive investment proposition over the next 10 or so years.